everybody, it's another week. We got another episode of Game of Thrones. So we are back here for Game Trailers of Thrones. My name is Brandon Jones. I'm joined by Mr. Ryan Stevens.
Yo.
Mr. Marco Rosado.
Hello.
And Mr. Jeremy Hoffman.
Hodor.
Who made some beautiful pineapple upside down cakes this morning.
Nothing to do with
Game of Thrones
Game
themed.
of Thrones. Just talking cake.
But as long as I can get that Hoffman magic on the palate, then I'm ready for anything. So we're back again to talk about another episode. Unfortunately, not going to get an episode next week. They're taking a week hiatus. But got some good stuff last night. I liked it. Mr. Stevens, you called it shitty.
I thought this was one of the worst episodes of the entire series.
We're just looking at the intro right now, so let's get into it. What do you think?
Tell me.
I mean, it's still good. I don't know. I thought the scene was, jumping all over the place. I thought the scene with Sansa and Robin was poorly implemented.
Just quick?
From a timing pace and an acting pace and character and stuff like that. And I know we were just, right before we recorded, we were talking about Hot Pie, and that felt like it was jumping a little too much into, I don't know, like the sitcom realm for me. I do continue to enjoy what they're doing outside of the realm of the books. And maybe I was in not the best mood, but like...
what happened?
Oh, and then the whole, I came to work. And I worked for
That's
like 12 hours.
Okay, we get it.
And then, what's her face? The nudity scene.
You gotta be more specific than that, unfortunately.
The
Melisandre
scene I thought was...
There was a lot of exposition last night.
Starting with Tyrion, I thought the Tyrion stuff was good. I thought, what's his face? Oberon? What's his name?
Oberyn.
I thought his conversations with Tyrion was particularly grand.
I mean, any of these Tyrion scenes are great. This first one, obviously with Jaime, it's so... They just don't know what to do. Like, he's just so fucked up at this point. And it's great to see kind of these guys lose a little bit, right? Like, they're not on top, and they can't plan on every move, and it's you see that suffering. And Tyrion, as much as he was the savior of the city, no one's going to go against the sister for him.
I love that he does, bring to light that, hey, if you fight for me and die, that's the whole Lannister line wiped out in one knife play. Like, how great is that? Wouldn't that be exciting? Jaime's like, no, that's okay.
And his conversation with Bronn is also really good.
Yeah, really great.
He's, like a kind of a series favorite, right?
I think it's those scenes that really resonate in both the show and the book, where characters who are not like Sansa, who are, out of it, or characters who are not like Lysa, her aunt, who are smart and kind of know what's going on in the realm, but have just lost their minds. These I see someone like Tyrion and Bronn who get it and are very capable, either politicians or soldiers, that are just having a very honest conversation. There's no game going on in that conversation, and that's refreshing to have on the show. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing fun images this week. If you actually pay attention to those, it's E3. I don't have time. So this will just be one continuous podcast. So hopefully we will call attention to exactly what we're talking about. And of course, the episode starts with Tyrion and his brother. Do we think this is just more Tyrion time because that's like necessary for this season, or do we feel this is necessary after the? Because we know Jaime's upset. Do we need to see the fallout of last episode, basically, of the trial and his outburst?
I mean, it's more, I guess, just explaining kind of why, right? Like, it's that they ended on such kind of a high note with his impassioned plea last week. It's kind of explaining, like, someone that you know is smart, and Tyrion's very smart, but he kind of let the best of his emotions, his emotions get the best of him. And it's definitely...
I think those were some of his best emotions. I vote best emotions from Tyrion on this show.
I think that the scenes, like, when they put two characters together like this, or later with Bronn and Oberyn, I mean, I know, obviously, they need to because the plot calls for it, and sometimes, but I think sometimes they do it just because it's fun, like, to have, like, okay, what if these two guys get together and talk about this or that? And that's why you sometimes get, like, these long scenes, like with Bronn, I could have just come over and said, I'm not fighting, and left, but he sits down and they have a friendship moment, and that's a...
Well, I think there was also some important plot stuff that came out of that may be important for later episodes, and honestly, at this point, I'm not spoiler dragoning, I'm just guessing, but in the books, at this point, he's, I think, married already to Lolly's, or she's been a bigger character, and his rise, Braun's rise is happening, and it's like.
Is she in the books?
Yeah,
like,
she's the one that gets raped.
Yeah,
she's
they didn't bring that. They didn't bring that up.
She's the one when
like, multiple
Joffrey
times.
goes out the first time, and like he gets knocked off the horse, and a bunch of people go missing. Like Lolly's is one of the handmaidens that's kind of around King's Landing. She gets raped and is missing for a while, and that's the whole reason no one will marry her. And she's worth a lot of money, but her parents are like, well, everyone knows that she's kind of
And she's a half-wit in the book too, right?
And she's kind of a half-wit, and they're like, well, no one's gonna marry our
good old half-wit,
small clothes
daughter.
Look at the poppy.
And they're so she gets kind of shipped off to Braun.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering how much of that was also like trying to get them into a place that they need to be later for his character as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I know we're jumping ahead, but like the best, when he comes in and he whips out that cape. It's so funny because I think it's season 2 when he's talking about not wanting to take a gold cloak. He's like, I don't like capes. They slow you down. Like, and he gives this whole speech about why wearing capes is stupid. And now that he's like,
he doesn't have to fight anymore.
Yeah,
he never saw The Incredibles.
True. Yeah,
but
dangerous. Don't fly near planes.
But I think that's important. Like you just said it. Like he knows that he's got to a point where he's kind of like this minor lord, and there's no reason for him to fight. So he's going to wear a cape. He doesn't have to be worried about being slowed down.
Some more juicy trial gossip. Cersei has chosen her champion, and I'm really excited that Will Sasso is getting work. I haven't really seen him in anything, and it's great that he's playing the Mountain here.
Yeah,
from Mad TV.
Is this a recast?
This is Mountain.
It's like Will Sasso. Do you know
I
Will
don't
Sasso
know who that is.
I know who it is.
He's a comedian. He's on Mad TV. He's played a couple
bad
movies.
with actors.
This is like the third guy to play the Mountain in the show.
Mountain Generation 3.
Yeah.
I thought this scene was also a little dorky.
They give him very little dialogue. Well, this feels
compared
like a necessary
compared
scene.
to him like when he was jousting before, which felt kind of ferocious. This is just, it seems kind of, you got the prisoners or whatever. Like, oh, no.
And to unite the Cleganes, we
and
get
then,
both him and a hound.
I
scene
think
back to back.
Cersei traipsing over the entrails and stuff like that. It's, I don't know.
Little B movie.
Yeah.
You're in a bad mood, Ryan.
No, I honestly think this is
We
like...
need some bad moods on this show, If it was just
not
Hoffman and I,
every
we would just-
episode's a masterpiece. I mean, the show's still pretty good. I felt
Still
a little...
pretty good.
I
Hold on. Stop this.
It's no The Wire.
Oh, wow.
Well, you can... Well,
Littlefinger at least keeps the show together.
Yeah.
It's a show you can
Because it
definitely
reminds me of
compare.
The Wire.
It's a show you can definitely compare against itself. There are some episodes where they tie everything together really well, where they do a good job setting up characters, and then sometimes you get these rushed scenes, like you brought up Sansa and Robin, that just felt kind of manufactured, and this quick, like, oh, hi, Mountain, say hello to the crowd, hello, crowd, and like, oh, okay, that's the Mountain, got it, he's huge,
yeah,
he likes to kill people, got it.
It's the problem with the show only being 10 episodes, and a lot of plot. I think... we've been talking about it. In my head, there's like, I keep doing it at the end of each episode going, well, there's still at least 5 major deaths that need to happen over the next 3 episodes, and they're going to have to get that together quickly. And when they're having to introduce characters or remind you who characters were in one episode so that they can kill them in another, like they did with Lysa. It's like she's been missing forever, and you're like, hey, look it, she's back, and goodbye. Like...
I mean, if you want to talk smack like Ryan,
maybe she survived.
If there's one thing that does bother me is that they have these characters that are really important, and they serve up like the Mountain or what's her name, the redhead, Ygritte. Like she's been missing like most of the season.
Yeah.
She was only in 1 episode. Or like Stannis. Stannis has only been in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Or like 2 scenes.
Well,
right?
but like the Mountain, I'll give you that with some of these guys, but like the Mountain's not a major character, and you never see him in the book until this point. He comes back now.
Yeah, but when you say see in the book,
You
it's
hear
like,
it. You hear about him. And
a lot.
You've heard about him.
Yeah,
in here.
I would actually give Jeremy the point here. You actually hear about the Mountain a lot, especially since what's-his-face.
Beric Dondarrion. You've heard about the Mountain. You just don't.
But they don't
see
show him. Like,
But I think also for people that are watching the show, because they've only ever seen him once in his very first episode. Now he's just been a rumor since then. It's hard to remember who a lot of these people are. It's
people that don't follow it as closely.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, she just found like a big dude in the streets.
Well, but I think that comes down to editing, right? You have to you show him being stupid,
and then they
over brutal. You show him cutting people in half.
They tie it back to the Hound.
You tie it back right into this Hound scene. Where
I think I have a better. I think it's more the cinematography and the directing with the Mountain scene.
Yeah. No, I think it's hard. When
same with Dario. We only see butt. And Stephanie was like, "Going to see some dick," and she was disappointed.
There's barely dick in this show.
We saw Hodor's Hodor.
But that wasn't
That
even
was a
his
prosthetic.
And
Yeah.
we've seen Theon's
Hodor in a box.
Peter Baelish.
Dick in a box.
That's really good.
So,
A good scene about death. Interesting scene with the Hound and Arya here.
I mean, okay, so
And it's echoed immediately afterwards, right?
I was talking about it this morning, and it's like this whole series through the kind of like where Joffrey dies. I kind of feel like that's Act 1. All right, like we're right around there as Act 1, and the kids all know where they're at now, and now we're in Act 2, and if Act 3 is where the heroes win and they come back and they're awesome, then Act 2 is going to be where they train. And we're seeing training for every single person now. It's Arya's learning how to become a killer. She's got a list. Like, it's not hard to guess that she's going to become some sort of assassin, right? Like,
okay,
you
sorry,
know,
let me interrupt.
But like, hold on. But like,
He just
Danny,
got bit. The other guy's standing there with a sword. Like, I don't know, this episode.
Well, but see, this was interesting. This is actually the one question I had. So we're watching this scene with Arya and the Hound, and so she got bit by Biter, who's a pretty major character in the books.
He was with the guy in, what, Havenhall or whatever?
He's with Rogue.
Was that
here.
actually him, though?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Oh.
Biter.
That's the same actor too.
So in the in the books, like we could, you know, if you want to spoiler dragon this for about 45 seconds now while I explain something, starting now, in the books, when the Hound disappears for a while, they find Biter's the one that takes his helmet and starts terrorizing everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And he's the rumored Hound at that point.
And then he encounters
And now it's
Ray.
just like, now it's dead. So it's like, that was kind of a weird loose thread that they left open in the books that we didn't see the end of that. And it's interesting to see that happen right now. It's just kind of wrapping up. It's weird. And now we get, you know, Hot Pie back as well. So you get kind of Arya's past is catching up to her, and she's checking people off her list.
And spoiler dragon.
And spoiler dragon.
That was
I
about
don't
45
think that
seconds.
Don't think that helps if we're not editing. But no, but going back to what I was saying, it's like everyone's in training now. Like Sansa, you know, it's like, what's Sansa going to learn how to do? It's like how to manipulate people. Dany's learning how to rule. Jon's learning how to lead. Like, Bran's learning about the magic. So everyone's kind of learning. All the Starks are...
It bears mentioning that the training aspect of the story wasn't initially how he envisioned telling the story. He originally wanted, like, okay, their red wedding happens and all this, and Joffrey dies, all this shit goes down, and then you jump like 3-4 years in the future, and it's like they're grown up, the kids are grown up. You know, Arya has been, you know, out and about and, you know, getting wild,
doing what she does.
doing what she does. Jon Snow has been, you know, at the Night's Watch for a while, and they're all good at what they're supposed to do later. Whereas after the books became successful and he started like getting nervous, I think, my opinion, like, he said, okay, I need to explain this more. I can't do flashbacks. And
Yeah, well, he also, he's never been a huge fan of the flashback stuff. So, I mean, I guess when you start writing too many flashbacks, you might as well just write the book.
Yeah.
And now we're stuck waiting for another book.
Yeah.
And now the series is going to end on TV before the books are done, and I'm totally okay with that.
Well, that's why, though, like, in the books, at least, Brienne scenes are probably the most unpopular, because she's just running around the Riverlands, like, going to inns and talking and talking and talking. And
Eating kidney pie.
Eating kidney pie. And
Delicious kidney pie.
yeah. and that stuff is like, okay, here, it's, at least for me, I sense that Brienne stuff has already been covered in the show.
Yeah.
Like, with her going and meeting Hot Pie and finding and him telling about Arya, that's it. Like,
the fork in the
everything that really happened with her in the book 5.
I agree. I mean, they're to the
Yeah.
point on some of these things that it's like there's not a lot that happens. It's a lot of walking around, and they don't have hours upon hours just to show people walking. Like, I think, you know, we're supposed to assume that when we see someone like Brienne, like, if we haven't seen her for 3 episodes, we're supposed to assume that she's been walking around for 3 episodes and hasn't found anyone. And she even says that. She's like, oh, we could have, you know, let's do one night in the inn. Let's get some good food. We've been on the road for weeks or something. And you're like, okay, or days. Like, so you just assume that we're not watching her. We're not getting this check-in every time someone's walking between places in the show, like we did in a lot of the books. And that's where a lot of exposition came in, of people just kind of sitting there talking to themselves or thinking about things. And we're past that, which I'm okay with.
No, I'm so glad. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say.
So before we get to Dario's booty call, we're at the end of the Bronn Tyrion scene, which I think we've covered extensively, but I just want to bring up something that I love that Bronn says before he leaves. He says, I think, wouldn't that be a great song? I can hear them singing that song about you. And not only have songs been written about Tyrion that I bet will come up later in the season, where people, call him an imp and make fun of him, but songs are something I remember coming up a lot in the books. When you hear a song on the show and people don't, I think even knowing the song was the Reigns of Castamere, I never really picked it up every time it was sung. It's I didn't know the tune and I don't know the words that well. Whereas when you read the books, it's poetry in the books. There's no music to accompany it. And so it's more clear when people are singing songs. I think more attention is given to it. And I just think it's an interesting way to talk about history in this world. That, there's no internet in Westeros, so getting to the truth of something is really, really difficult.
Spoilers, is there?
Yeah. There's a Treethernet, but there's not an internet.
That's good. I just keep thinking of Miguel singing
the Bear,
the Bear and the Maiden Fair, endlessly.
But you just, and the Bear and the Maiden Fair's after, sung after something that actually happened in history. It's a common song that they like to sing, but it actually is the way that they tell history in this world. We see Jaime going through the book of Knights, and talking about how he will be remembered. And so it's interesting that it's you don't just do good deeds in your life and you're remembered for those. You do good deeds and make sure you're remembered for those, and then you're remembered for those. But you have to go a little further than just being a nice guy or a great politician or a strong warrior, but making sure your side wins and that you're known by the people that are writing these books and writing these songs. Because if you aren't friends with them, then they'll write bad books and bad songs about you.
What's the name of the series?
Game of Thrones.
No.
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Ooh, the what? The
Song of Ice and Fire. Oh, you got me.
Derp.
Great. See, I just took 3 minutes to talk about it. That's all I could have said. Way to get to the point. All right, let's get some male ass. It's been too long since we've seen some supple
anticipating this
testosterone cheekage.
Yeah, there's been a countdown clock running in your office here.
I mean, we knew ever since it's been so many days since we've seen male ass in this show. I mean, the first time we see him this season, he shows her flowers. I think there was an interesting parallel of people seeing each other in baths. Right after the scene, we jumped to Melisandre naked in the bath, and then last season we saw Daenerys in the bath, and that's when she greeted Dario. So it's just kind of that sexual confusion of Stannis' wife coming in and being I'm attracted to you. I wish I was you.
I didn't know where that was gonna go.
I saw
was a little worried.
I saw a screen cap of this episode, immediately afterwards, of him getting the flowers held back. And it just said friend zone. And I thought it was pretty good.
I'm really glad, actually, after watching this scene, that they have a new Dario, because the other Dario would have just seemed so goofy playing this one scene.
Right.
I was like, being all suave. Yeah.
I mean, this actor's great. He was amazing in Treme. And at this point in the show, it's finally these two are getting together. The sexual tension has been way too long. It's if we're talking about them dragging out anything and not jumping into it, it's this storyline. It's
I was kind of sad though that there's one line that she does say in the book in this scene or in this family of scenes. I don't know if they're gonna do it again, but it's I am your queen and I command you to fuck me.
Oh yeah. Well, she kind of does it. I mean,
yeah, but I was like, she's gonna say it.
That may be a little too B-movie for
the
TV.
Next episode.
Yeah.
Bam, she drops it. Nah.
That's true.
Speaking of being friend zoned, he immediately walks out and bumps into Jorah.
Oh, poor Jorah.
Jorah. I feel bad for Jorah.
Smells like Daenerys.
Yeah.
I want his wine holder though. Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
can someone tell me where I can buy one of these?
Star Trek stuff there, man. Oh man.
Yeah, poor Jorah. It's good to know though, that Dany, at least we've seen her. Obviously she's gonna sleep with him here, but then Jorah comes and kind of tempers their decisions. She's still taking the advice of her other advisors, right? She's not getting completely blinded by her good-looking.
And she needs advisors, right?
Right.
I think his kind of kindergarten politics lesson kind of also shows that she really doesn't really know what she's doing. She has a lot of luck and a lot of people loyal to her, but she's still in a lot of ways like a child.
Well, she knows that.
She wasn't brought up in the courts.
She said that she has to.
Her nipple looks weird when she's laying down. Sorry.
She's looking at Melisandre. But really quick, back to Dany to finish that up. I think Danny Danny in the books, she was more sexualized than we see her in the show.
Yep.
Like in the books, like she actually does her handmaidens, right? Like
She learned.
The handmaidens
teach
teach her how to pleasure men.
yeah, Miss Sunday and all that stuff happened, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so, and we don't see any of that in the.
Well, I think also, you know, in the book, she almost is kind of like a dumb 14-year-old girl that just is falling for this guy. And I'm, you know, not saying that to be mean, but she's just kind of this like.
Is she
she's
14?
Kind of, she's like 13 or 14. She's
Well,
not that
years have
old.
passed though. I
Wait,
mean,
when she's in Marine, she's 14.
What,
Yeah,
15,
it's hard to say for
16,
time.
Maybe 15.
but
Like,
she's totally crushing on him.
yeah, she's just having this like total schoolgirl crush, and she's kind of pulling a Sansa.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's what
book one
Barristan.
Sansa thing, and it's like
Yeah.
she feels much smarter in the TV show about how she's playing.
Yeah.
playing these
In
guys.
the book, Barristan is a point of view character, and he does like think about her as like, oh, she's having her teenage crush right now, and after that phase is over, then blah, 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 we'll
she's
get
gonna
to-
want to come more stability.
So we're watching now the one scene that I didn't like in this
The
episode.
bathtub scene. I
Yeah.
don't. So what was the point of this?
Okay,
scene?
I think the point with this is I don't know if this is diverging for the book or not because we don't know what's gonna happen in the book either, in this regard. But she wants her to bring her child, her what's her name, the girl with the stone face,
The scales.
Celine.
yeah, her daughter,
Yeah.
that because to the wall with them, and I assume it's because she has king's blood in her, which would mean that she might want to sacrifice her. That's what I got from this scene. Like, and again, this is not spoiler dragony because this
We
hasn't
don't
happened.
know.
in
But
the
you
books
get.
yet.
But I mean,
Yeah.
do you get anything out of that? I mean, I don't. There's so many characters. Is it worth developing Stannis' wife?
Well,
Like, I don't even know her name.
It's not even his wife; it's about his daughter. Her.
I think-
Right, but I mean, is that actually important?
I'm also
It
wondering
might be.
how much of it, though, when she's talking about how easy men are to fool, and she's able to disguise, have certain magical
Well,
powers
they're
that
pulling
aren't
they're
real
pulling
magic.
the Wizard of Oz curtain a little
Right.
bit back. Even though we've seen her do obvious real magic
Right.
stuff, she's basically saying, "I have all these magic tricks. I don't need to use them on you."
Right. And the question is, is that for me was like, is that this is her true believer, right? This is the one true believer.
She started
even,
it all, right?
Even Stannis isn't really signed up for it yet. He knows he's still alive and he's seen some crazy shit go down, but he's not totally into the whole Red Priest thing.
He's doing it because he needs it.
He needs it,
yeah.
right? So it's
And
like
it
his
works.
wife believes in it. So just kind of pulling back that curtain for her was a little interesting.
See, I don't know if Melisandre. I mean, we've seen her do the Shadow Baby stuff, but I don't know if she's as powerful as she says she is, and you can kind of tell that more in the books. But I think she's telling her the subtext is like, you are crazy enough that I don't need to put a big fire for you to start
Yeah.
hallucinating stuff.
I
And
loved her joke though.
Yeah.
In the beginning, just sorry to interrupt, but when she's like, "I talked to the Lord of the Light this morning and told me to take a bath," and I was like, I actually laughed at that. I was like, "That's funny." That's just because she just knows she's gonna go live in fucking hell for the next
super
X amount
super
of time.
quick. Would have we seen the Red Priest by now in the books?
I don't think he's
which
gonna be
one?
in the show.
The one that's on the boat.
So I don't know what the fuck.
Because
Because
we haven't seen those characters.
I think.
Well,
they're gonna,
I guess we saw the sister.
I think
but-
all the Greyjoy stuff is just gonna happen next season.
Gotcha.
I think there's a couple big major Greyjoy things that haven't happened yet, and all that's just gonna happen next season.
Okay.
I don't know, man. That's
Well, there's still. I mean,
3
talk about it
episodes?
later. We'll talk about it
3
later.
episodes
but
left, right?
There's
Yeah.
still one thing that has to happen no matter what.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is again not spoiler dragony, but most of the characters, I think, with the exception of 2, are right now where they're gonna be, where they are in the books, in the show.
Some are.
Yeah,
Or,
with the exception
quickly
of
approaching.
Wait, where they are in what book?
geographically
Book 5?
in book 5.
No way.
Well, of course. Hello, Danny.
Okay,
and,
yeah, but
yeah.
okay, hold on. We can't even talk about this now, but
No, but it's yeah,
Zen?
2.
There's lots
Doesn't
of
have
hand
the
motions
role.
happening. There's lots
Doesn't
of
have the
No,
nodding.
no, but
position.
he's there already.
yeah, but I'm saying, but
Yeah.
also people also have
drawing
to make
stick
their
figures.
I
places.
just want to call attention to. I like the Hound's little shin guard boot thing. Looks
We'll,
really
we'll
good.
come. Marco and I'll have to have a
Little art
discussion
direction.
afterwards
Yeah.
because I disagree.
This is for the fans, guys. This isn't for us, okay?
It also doesn't mean, it's not always where they are geographically, but where they are mentally.
In stature, yeah.
And I think a lot of you're right where they are geographically, but I think a lot of them aren't where they are need to be mentally or with their new updated titles of what they'll have as they level up, if you will.
I mean, you could say, like, we're watching Arya and the Hound now, and I think Arya is the character that most changes through the story so far, and we're about to see, like, I think this is foreshadowing, like, like, it's time for her to move on. Like, the Hound is injured, and
I would say Daenerys changes more than anybody.
Well, Dany.
Daenerys, first time we see Dany, she's naked in a bathtub, just like, time for my wedding day, and now she's like ruling the city of Meereen. Whereas like the first time we see Arya, she's besting her brother in.
No, I think Bran has changed more than anyone because now he's a direwolf, pretty much. But physically,
but yeah,
Hodor.
She's always been a little tomboyish.
Exactly the same.
She certainly had the aptitude
Hodor's
for
a
this.
DJ.
Well, and it's also interesting. I mean, it's interesting, right? Like Sansa, you could say has changed a lot.
Well, Sansa
But
is
hasn't,
awoken.
but has, right?
She's
like,
opened her eyes.
She's learned a lot. She's changed a lot.
True.
Yeah. She's still kind of making dumb decisions.
I was rewatching
Slapping
season.
Robin wasn't the smartest thing to do.
I was rewatching season 1 this weekend, and there's scenes of Sansa like just being a spoiled brat to her septa.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if I forgot, I don't care what you have to say, all this stuff. And
she's a princess.
She's a princess, but I imagine like if she actually had power, like after all this shit happened, would she go back to being that person?
I don't know. I think she's learned. I think it's interesting. This is just one of those scenes that for book readers is completely almost useless with Arya and the Hound after he's been bit and he's telling the story of his brother because we've already got this before, but
yeah, who told it before in the series?
Didn't he tell it to Sansa?
No, Littlefinger told this to Sansa.
Okay, yeah, because we hear it almost word for word.
Yeah,
except about his dad.
So now we get the full kind of story from him.
Again, it's like
the best part is when he's like, I didn't even steal the toy. I was just playing with it. But you can see, but like him walking away with the fire, his acting's really good because he's not even walking confidently. He's kind of like a little stumble walk.
Well, it's like seriously in front of her dad, like, and then Tyrion told me, like, thank you, witness. Like, there's a lot of crybabies in this world. Come on.
But it's interesting. It's really just paying off kind of how big of a monster the mountain is.
Yeah, this scene is not about
these two at all.
Yeah, it's about the mountain. And again, like they need to make him a big character because he has a big role to play.
Clearly, the most delicious scene in the episode.
Yes.
Get some pie from Hot Pie.
I'd like
it's not just a clever name. He does make pie. It is hot.
I want to produce his web show. Hot Pie. Me and Hot Pie make pies.
Can the theme song be kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song?
I'm hoping you're gonna freestyle.
Out of Flea Bottom, where I spent most of my days.
Yes, keep going.
That's all I have.
Okay, fair enough.
It's Hot Pie certainly makes Pod look mature, doesn't he? Pod seems like an old gentleman.
When he literally pulls the chair up, is like it's all kind of funny, but when he pulls the chair up, it's just like I don't know. That's the sitcom-y.
This actually felt like I thought of Saved by the Bell when there's a diner.
It's a sitcom.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know everything that's going to happen, so like we're trying to be very patient and just waiting for all of these big moments to happen. And for anyone else watching the show, it's like they got to be pulling their hair out with Tyrion, where it's just like, man, this guy can't get a break. None of these people are getting anywhere. Like, I'm really frustrated because I want these things to happen. I want people to respect Jon Snow. I want Sansa to get out of the Eyrie, and none of that seems to be happening. Yeah. So it's just nice, like, oh, thank you for someone that's nice that I remember. I think the writers are throwing the
Did we say a single word about the Jon Snow scene?
We were talking about Starks in general. There's like the training going on.
I don't know. Like again, I felt this episode. It's not like it's a bad episode for the show. It's not like a bad episode of television.
We established,
but I felt like there's a little bit of filler.
And that no one ever filled the tunnel going into the mountain. I really
the builders. They bring up the builders. Yeah.
Right. I really like the line where he's like, those bars are 4-inch thick. He's like, and it won't be enough.
Yeah. It's smart though. Like that pays off to whose character later, right? Like him kind of fighting against this old regime, and he's like, I know what's going on, but you're being a dick because you didn't like my dad. Like, it's not cool.
More importantly, Hoffman, if you don't make this work bread,
I know. I've already started looking.
We're
at
not friends anymore.
Do you think the art department made that, and it's not actually edible, or do you think that thing's edible?
It's not edible.
You gotta go.
No one ever makes fucking actual edible props. There has been, if you look at Hot
Such
Pie's
bitterness.
baking ability in the, he's definitely grown from the time that he gave Arya the
Grows
bread
up
the
and he
first
grows
time.
up training.
But do you
Everyone's
think he
training.
can do an
He's in a good
upside down pineapple cake?
Oh, not like that.
Not like mine.
Not like that.
I don't know if he has a smoker out back.
With
to
the
smoke
smoked pineapple. I didn't even know.
They should do a Kraken bread to see how he handles the tentacles.
House bread.
The
Hot Pie's
pastries.
house bread.
Uh,
The
for the
pastries of
Greyjoys.
Westeros.
Yeah, I see what you're saying though. This episode definitely feels like they were kind of
I'm being honest here. I'm
Getting
like,
towards-
bad mood or not. I think this is the weakest episode of the season,
I feel like it's just
and maybe
a lot
the
of
entire
explanation.
entire series.
Oh wow, I don't know. I
No,
don't
there's
know.
been some slow episodes before this.
It's not just slow though. I think some things are like tonally off a little.
I
bit.
don't
I
know.
don't think this was even slow.
I
It
think
was
they're
like some big
explaining
things
a
happened.
lot.
It's not even just.
Like you
or
get,
some
you
things
get
are
one,
fast.
you get
The
Oberyn
Lysa
pledging
scene-
to Tyrion. You get
Yeah,
the
no, the,
Lysa
the
scenes.
Tyrion scene's
You-
okay, and some of the Lysa scene is okay.
Mhm.
I don't know.
And then Bronn leaving as a big character.
And
in
as
the
much as
show.
I like the Hound and Arya, I also felt those scenes were I don't know a little off. I know they're trying to show Arya becoming the Stone Cold Killer, like right in the heart. But again, it's still kind of just it minces it a little bit. Like again, it's not awful. I
You
just
can
think it's a
mince the
little
heart.
off.
That's another way to do it.
Mm.
So I thought this. I thought the last scene was because I knew it was going to happen based on the preview. I thought the last scene with Lysa was going to be my favorite scene, but I think this scene we're watching
Oh,
now.
this is great.
The
This-
Oberyn with
This guy
Tyrion.
is so good.
It's
He
a
has just,
great actor.
He has just killed it in every single
Yeah.
one of his scenes. Even that scene with Cersei in the park, which kind of fizzled. I thought that scene was kind of boring.
Well,
He's
that
just
was
so good.
but
His
it was
accent
boring,
is
but
so
it-
delicious.
But it was a terrible scene because she was trying to work him.
yeah.
He knew she was trying to work him, wasn't going to let him work it, but then he comes to Tyrion and he's like, hey, so you know your sister was trying to work me, right? Like, and I knew she wasn't going to do anything. Like, she was just trying to do the Cersei, like, I'm rubbing up against him, I'm using the queen magic, and he was like, go away. Like,
His dialogue's
I want
good.
nothing to do
He's
with
got like
you.
this kind of erudite, like even though he's like this kind of scoundrel guy in some ways, he's got these great kind of poetic lines. And like Tyrion's got his wits and
writes
stuff
poetry,
like that.
we've seen it.
But like his stuff, like I didn't care for. I went to Castle
Castle
Rock.
Rock.
I didn't care for the food, the weather, or the accents. I mean, that's so good because it's not too smarmy, but it's so like directed.
Yeah.
It's like a backhanded slap or something like
He's
that.
always how I actually kind of pictured Rhaegar in my head, but with long
Yeah.
hair. With long hair. Like, long hair, but this dude, like,
Yeah. Well,
just
I
how he
think
carries himself. Like,
This guy's a lot more sexualized than Rhaegar was.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I mean, we never met Rhaegar. We don't
yeah.
know, right?
Well, we didn't know that, but I think
Rhaegar Targaryen. Is that
Yeah.
what you're speaking of?
Yeah.
Okay.
so.
Danny's grandfather, great grandfather, great grandfather.
No, older brother.
Oh, okay.
The Mad King's son, the one that took
Robert killed. In
the
that
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Okay.
It's just how I pictured him as
Yeah.
like the prince that had his harp that he played and wrote poetry, but also would kill you if you
It's
gave
someone
gave
who
him
would be a
dirty
good
look.
king.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
This is a character who would be a good king
Yeah.
if he had the chance.
Yep.
One thing I like they're doing this season is they're talking a lot about childhoods of the past. Like we hear about a young Lysa, a young Cat, a young Jaime, a young Cersei. It's kind of fun realizing like, oh yeah, they at one time all of these characters were as young as Arya and Jon and Sansa. And they did have seemingly very carefree. They were children of summer, yeah. They had very carefree childhoods, and it's. I thought this was the most interesting thing to come out of this scene. His tale of Jaime and Cersei, kind of hovering over, capable of, killing and snuffing out, this monster child that killed their mother. Just kind of puts everything in perspective whenever we get those moments, and it's great to get a first-hand story and something Tyrion didn't know. I mean, his eyes, the tears when they're welling up when she's like, he grabbed your little cock and twisted it, until Jaime stopped.
I made a bad joke about that with Marco earlier. What if Tyrion had said, "Oh, it seems she really only likes those
Lannisters.
Lannister men."
I think it would have taken away from the scene.
No. It's an awful line. But
Yeah.
it's kind
He
of
does
funny.
say that to Cersei though at one point in the show and the books, right? Where he's just like, "Come on, I mean, you're like one brother, not the other. Let's do this."
But it was like I didn't know where Oberyn was going with the scene, and when he said like, "Oh, I was disappointed when she unveiled you," and I was like, "Wow, he's gonna say that disappointed that it was a creature or something. He's
Right.
like, no, I just saw a baby.
I felt it was being set up that way because I knew the outcome that eventually he
Okay.
would say, "I favor you. I will be your champion." So I'm like, I see what they're doing.
But does he really
The
favor
real
him?
monster is
No, he
Cersei.
wants to kill the mountain.
Yeah, this
Like,
is his one legal.
but he's like what you were saying. He's being poetic about it, right?
This is his one legal way that he could get away with revenge. And
But
no one could
correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the mountain was like a outlaw right now
No,
as well.
he's
Like in a
more-
previous scene, they said like he was like running amok or something.
That was the Hound.
Oh, okay.
And that's why they put the price on the
did
Hound,
they say
and that's why those
McLean?
guys went
Or
after the Hound.
what's his last name?
It's Gregor
Clegane.
and
Clegane.
Clegane.
Yeah, maybe that's what I
Gregor
heard.
and is Gregor the mountain?
No, Gregor is the mountain, and Sandalore is.
Okay.
Or Sandor?
Sandor.
Sandor, yeah. Is
Sandor,
the Hound.
Hodor. Get my doors mixed up.
But yeah, like
Slothos.
him saying I'll be champion, and Tyrion goes like, "Ah!"
Well, he knows it's his one chance. Like, his brother won't fight for him, who he thought was his best friend won't fight for him. No one else is going to fight for him.
Pod, come back.
Yeah.
Is Robin's the same actor from season
Yeah,
one,
definitely.
right? He's put on a couple years.
Oh, you know, he's
It's
definitely
been
older, but he
3
would be.
years,
No, it's weird though because it looks exactly like him,
Yeah.
but he's like tall.
and he has a
And
deeper
Kit-
voice.
I mean, you talk about Oberyn being a good king. This is probably the worst king you could ever imagine.
His mother's
Maybe the worst
gross.
upbringing. I mean, Joffrey was pretty bad, but Robin's like the worst
Robin's
a parent could ever do with a
It's
child.
probably even worse than
Well, I would say
Joffrey.
like Joffrey was like a psychopath, like a megalomaniacal psychopath. This guy is just ridiculously unbalanced. I mean, Joffrey has the thing where he's like killing the prostitutes with a crossbow, and you're like, that's really messed up. But this guy's just like,
He's a baby.
Fly.
Yeah, he would be pushing him out of the
It's like if you
moon
gave
door,
a
though.
3-year-old control, and you were like,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want, you know.
Because he has been given control and told he could do whatever he
Yeah.
wants.
Yeah,
by
this
his
is what this world's
psycho
about.
fucking mother.
Every child with power is insane in this world, and Robin is the latest example.
You see, that's what happens. The Stark children had some good upbringing.
Yeah, that goes to say it. Ned Stark and Catelyn were good parents, but yeah, like, oh man, this is
you ruined it.
This is
The reason, I agree, that felt a little weird because he didn't actually try to ruin it. It wasn't like, I'm going to make a hole in it. It didn't feel like he did it on purpose. It
Right.
felt like an
And
accident.
then his
she-
escalation makes sense, but like it's Sansa again. It's Sansa's character, and again, it's some of the directing and writing I just felt was a little off. They could have still had this scene, and that slap.
That slap's really bad.
Yeah.
That's no Joffrey Tyrion
Yeah, well,
slap.
here's the thing. Like in the book, Sansa is a lot younger than she is here. Here, she's like 6 feet tall, and,
it's
and
true.
she's supposed to be like a 14-year-old
She's
childish
taller than
person.
Littlefinger when he
Yeah.
comes
I
in.
mean,
Yeah.
She
that
finally
actress
feels-
is in her 20s.
She finally
right?
Sure,
feels,
of course.
she
Yeah.
finally feels safe. And
Yeah,
and
so the way it unfolds in the book is you see, okay, it's 2 kids fighting. One is older than the other, but not by much. Whereas here, it's like you got this woman that looks like to be in her
It's
20s,
babysitting time, yeah.
acting like a child towards a child, and maybe, no, you did it. No, I was the one that did it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
I
what
can see
I could see it being weird, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm just seeing this through the prism of the books.
Yeah, and I was just looking at it through the books going like,
Yeah.
I like the scene, like,
Mhm.
it's nice to see it actually happen. But yeah,
Yeah.
now that you point
It's
out
a
that-
famous scene. Like it's even
Yeah.
on the calendar, I think.
Yeah.
And Littlefinger being a perv was obviously set up in previous episodes. That shouldn't
Oh,
come as a
yeah.
huge
It
shocker.
should
The
be-
conversation they had underneath the boat when they were in the below
Uh,
quarters in the boat.
I don't know.
This is
I will
even-
believe. I'll believe one thing. I believe Littlefinger. The only thing I believe about Littlefinger is he did love Cat.
Mhm.
Everything else, I think he's just playing the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but I
I
think
just made a.
He's singing the Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, no, like seriously, like I don't know if he actually has emotions for Sansa.
I think.
Like,
he does.
He does.
I know,
I think-
but
I
I'm
think
saying
the
they may
only-
be simmering emotions compared to like I believe he still has that torch for Cat and
Oh,
Cat being
yeah.
Daddy's free, but he is playing his own game.
Right, but this
This is a-
screws him. Like he goes in later and sees her about to kill her niece or whatever, and he's like, whoa, calm down, wait, whoops, I
Who's to
messed
say?
up.
Who's to say he didn't see Lysa up in the tower?
that he set this up.
To give
No, I
himself a reason, like why?
No,
would
no.
he just-
Obviously, he didn't know he'd have the situation with Robin getting hit and her being upset. But like, who knows? I'm
No,
just
he's
saying.
improvising.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I just don't think. Like, I know. Like, is he a perv? Well, I think anyone who everyone's a perv in this.
My
thing,
wife's
but I just
my
saying,
wife's so surprised
I
she
don't
didn't
know.
like fight him off. But I think someone in Sansa's position's like I I just slapped a kid, and that got me in trouble. So
She's like,
Yeah.
I loved you in The Wire.
right. Yeah, The Dark Knight Rises. You were great. And then the penultimate scene, which these are going to be goodies for the rest of the season. All of these last scenes are going to be really,
so
really good.
Fucking good.
But this is great. I mean, and again, on previous episodes, I mentioned that, I started getting excited when they got to the Eyrie, and here's why. This is a great scene. The scene that wraps up Book 4, the very last scene of Book 4. Not the epilogue of Book 4.
Oh, really? This is how that ends?
The last major chapter, yeah. And there's someone missing who is in the scene.
But we know why he's missing. In the book, there was this singer that's like playing the harp or something.
Yeah.
While all this is happening, he's in the background. He's part of the court, and in season 1, they cut that guy's tongue off.
Yeah, they got rid of him.
So I don't think he could sing in this scene,
Right.
even if he were there.
Well, it's just a scapegoat, someone
Yeah.
for Littlefinger to blame.
Yeah.
Some way for him to get out of it.
it's gonna be
that's not necessarily spoiler dragony, because it's like, I think Littlefinger's going to try to get out of this.
Yeah.
Blame it on someone else. But that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Definitely felt like the focus of the preview for the next
I didn't
episode.
watch
Is this the... I was thinking about it this morning. Is this the first time Littlefinger kills? Like, actually kills? Like, he's been pulling the strings his
It's the
whole
first
life.
time he murdered
But is this the
someone. Yeah.
first time he actually does it? And I think
That
it
you see
is,
it.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm just saying for him. Like, not even that we see.
Mhm.
But do you think for his character, he's made it this far and hasn't had to get his hands dirty, and this is the first time?
Oh no, it's
do
not
you-
the
but
first
do you
time.
really-
It's the first time we see it.
It's the
I
first
think.
time we see it.
Yeah.
But you're not counting him being like, shoot that dude with crossbows?
I'm
even though
saying,
he's,
like, is this
4
the
inches away
first
from
time
him?
he's fucking
Okay.
like, taken someone in his own hands?
I don't think it matters to him.
I think it's interesting though to I wonder with his character, because he's such the king of manipulation
Yeah.
that he never makes direct action,
I
and
see
he actually
that, yeah.
says that in the previous
Man.
episode. He's like,
His
they
costume.
never expect the person that
You
that
ever watch
isn't involved
Hellraiser?
or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
He kind of looks like Pinhead a little bit.
It
it's
does,
just
he's got
interesting.
a
I was
little-
thinking,
that
I
kinda
was wondering more
gown.
for
It
character.
looks, it's almost religious. It almost kind of like a pious
I
outfit.
think
Almost like
Tywin
a
is the
priest.
best dressed man in Westeros, though.
He does have the cape.
Sure.
But
Jamie looks good too. When he puts those gold cloaks on.
Are we talking about fashion?
Let's go back to butts and dicks.
But anyway, back to the Eyrie. In the books, like just to draw a comparison, not spoiler. The moon door's actually on the wall.
Yeah.
It's an actual
It's a
door,
door. Yeah.
that opens.
This is
Horizontal,
the moon
yeah.
trap.
This
This is like a
more
moon trap, though.
terrifying.
Yeah, this
though.
is terrifying, but a lot of people are complaining on the effect of when Lysa gets pushed off. She looked weird.
Oh, that effect's cheap, and so is when you
Yeah.
see Ghost at the wall.
Oh yeah, no, I was
It
going to make a
looks
joke.
so
You were talking
bad.
about how the Stark children are all learning new skills, and I was going to say the compositors could learn some new
No,
skills.
but I paused. I went back and I paused it and I said, okay, the thing is that the moon door in the show is a little hole, whereas in the book it was like this big door. Here's a small hole that if you throw someone, they're gonna hit their head on the other side. It's so small. So I think they scaled her down, her body down.
Oh, you mean for the effect when
Yeah,
she's
look.
pushed?
See, she looks smaller.
Yeah, but
There,
you're talking about like 30 frames.
Yeah, I guess so. But
I mean, that's how you do special
Yeah.
effects. I don't know. The ghost shot I felt was a little more weird.
I didn't even notice that.
Really?
It's
Yeah, I
pretty,
think it was
it's pretty
a-
hilarious. It just he feels like because he's kind of like up on like a looks like he's kind of up on a.
It's not
bank,
awful,
and
but
he's
it's
just not.
subpar.
He's
not
just at the
really-
wrong
yeah,
angle.
yeah,
He's just
yeah.
kind of doing that weird floaty thing,
Yeah.
like a ghost.
I wasn't on last week's episode, if I remember correctly, so just for posterity's sake, I want to say Bravos is the only good place on the entire planet.
Interestingly enough, Bravos is in the intro.
Is that
of
where
this
you live?
episode.
Yeah.
And
it
not
looks-
it's not in the episode.
But it
Yeah.
looks corny in the intro. I kind of like it because I like Bravos, but I don't know, the sword thing's a little corny.
Well, that's what's in
Well, I think
Bravos.
now that they,
I know, I'm
think
just
now
saying.
that they've introduced it, it'll be in the.
Yeah, I
The
think
open.
Jeremy's right. I
in
think
the
it'll-
open for
it's
a
good.
long time.
At least for the rest
Yeah.
of the season.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna miss you guys next week.
Next week, yeah.
We got a 3-day weekend, and
All right,
we're gonna
and no Game of
we're gonna-
Thrones.
No Game of Thrones next week.
Cool.
So we'll be back in 2 weeks. There's only 3 episodes left. Very exciting. E3's coming up.
Yeah.
End of
So,
the season's
so the
coming
way
up.
this will work is we'll do the one in 2 weeks.
Right.
So we'll do on June 2nd. We'll do an episode, and then unfortunately the week could be 3 on the 9th.
Whichever episode airs June 9th, we will not talk about it until the weekend.
That's the big one.
No,
man.
that'll be episode 9 at the
Nine,
wall.
yeah.
So, but we will be back for the
Some
last
kinda-
episode, and we'll do like a double episode for that one.
Cool.
Just because E3, unfortunately, there's no getting out of that.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. I know we're busy. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Hoffman.
Maybe
Thank
we
you
can
guys for
talk
listening.
about the Telltale game.
What?
The Telltale Game of Thrones.
Ryan, why?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe if they talk
Yeah.
about it at E3.
Maybe.
Oh boy, maybe other Game of Thrones games will be announced. Game of Thrones Lego, still holding out for it. See you guys in 2 weeks.
I'll play that.